Arrival requires departure. You must leave. You must take off. You must leave something usually to arrive in a different place, and that's very uncomfortable. And you almost like feel your old self like pulling you back, like, don't do it. Don't grow to that level. I don't want you to go there. Because what that level will unlock is definitely the next best version of yourself, which when I talk about winning, which is an important word, I feel like we need to celebrate winners more often. Winners lose the most. They take the most chances. They are putting themselves out there. And those are the kind of people that I can relate to, because at the end of your life, you're going to look back and be like, did I waste time or did I maximize my time? If you live a fulfilled life, that is the definition of success to me.
Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, the place where high-performing men are empowered to reclaim their home, their health, and their happiness while enhancing their career success. You see, in a world full of noise, burnout, and mediocrity, we believe what's missing is courageous and compassionate leadership in the home, because when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. You see, this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement for men who refuse to settle for less in their families, in their focus, and their future. We are curse breakers and we are legacy makers. I am your host, Mitchell Osmond, and I'm honored that you've chosen to invest your most valuable asset, which is your time, with me today. Now let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the Dad Nation podcast, and listen up. You are going to love this show, especially if you're the kind of guy who is very career-driven, very business-oriented. It's going to be an awesome conversation. So, because today's guest, his name is Brett Harmeling, and Brett is the founder and the CEO of Happy Life Labs, and a business strategist who works alongside of Tony Robbins. I don't know if you've ever heard of his name before, but he's kind of a big deal. Through his work in leadership development, human performance, and lifestyle design, Brett teaches high achievers how to align health, purpose, and performance so that they can succeed at the highest level without sacrificing their lives. He's also a global speaker, philanthropist, and passionate advocate for servant leadership and human flourishing. I love that word, flourishing. Brett, listen, welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mitchell. Excited to be here. And my hope is today we can untap and unlock some little nuggets that can help men live and lead better lives.
Yeah, love it, man. Well, let's dig into it, because I feel like you and I are like kindred spirits, man. We got a lot of same passions, a lot of that stuff. So I know it's just going to be a great conversation, and there's going to be a lot of questions I want to ask you. But let's jump straight in. So listen, your story. You know, I've heard you use read you use the frame farm to fortune, and now you're advising some of the most successful leaders in the world. If we were to rewind the tape on your life, what were some of the most defining moments that shaped the man that you've become today?
So the most defining moments usually in people's lives revolve around pain or pleasure. So if you're like, man, what am I thinking about in my own life? And so my story's pretty deep when it comes to having to navigate traumatic experiences. One being with personal injury, having brain injury that defined me for a while until I took matters into my own hands and built a company that could actually support my own healing and then take those tools and bring them into the world. That was one early example of my life. Another one was losing one of my closest siblings in a tragic boat fire with 33 other people. And so that really taught me a lot about the uncertainty of life, and how big of a gift it is to wake up each and every day, and what an opportunity it is to serve one another. And then the blessings, getting married to my beautiful wife, Lucia, changed the course of my life and really helped me get dialed in and more focused as a man. I was passionately curious guy and just really bounced around and just excited about life and just navigating the socioeconomic environment through business and through just finding like what I love doing. And my wife really grounded me. I know that it may not happen for some women's or like some of the relationships you have, but my wife really brought me home to myself. And that was such a special thing. And then having my two kids, these moments really defined who I was, because that taught me the importance of time. Now as a dad, a husband, serial entrepreneur, I have got to optimize and maximize not only my energy, but my time, and they're related. And so for those listening, like time is infinite. It'll keep going on forever after you die, but heartbeats are limited. And so it's really important who you share your heartbeats with in the course of your life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's funny we're talking about energy because I don't know at what date this is going to be aired, but it was just recently I did an episode on the importance of energy and led the listeners through a time and energy audit. And so this topic is certainly front of mind for me. It's something that I'm also very passionate about. Let's break that down a little bit. I mean, you talk a lot about energy and the importance of it. So talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you think, especially, a guy who's listening today, who's a high performer, very business driven, career driven, why is energy so important? I mean, everyone's talking about time. Everyone's talking about time. So why do you think that energy is so significant?
So energy cannot be created or destroyed. And once you understand that universal concept that's scientific and true, then you realize that it's energy in motion shifts emotion. So energy in motion equals the word emotion. And the quality of your life that is determined by the quality of emotions that you feel most consistently. And so, I'll just be real honest. What attracted me to your brand and coming on this podcast, Mitchell, was that you lead with power. And I define power as truth plus vulnerability equals power. My wife actually sent me a post that you posted, and I read it and I could relate to it intimately. I immediately felt exactly what you had to share. And so I felt called to reach out, called to connect. And that is energy in its finest form, because polarity attracts, right?
Yeah.
For interrelationships, if there's not a plus and a minus, the attraction, the magnetism, the mystery, that thing doesn't exist. And usually people end up, becoming polarized, and they get out of relationships. And so polarity is actually a really powerful tool. But energy creates energy. And so the more energy you put out in the right direction, because it starts from the inside, right? So if we build the best version of ourselves from the inside, then what we put out is really good at pure energy, and it actually attracts the energy we want to get back. And so that's why I'm so passionate about energy, because I believe that you'll never build a business bigger than you build yourself.
Wow, love that line, dude. So good. It's so interesting because I in many ways I'm with you 100%. I think it's almost magical when you meet someone, you engage with someone, and it's like, man, I love your energy. Like, I love your passion, your tenacity. You're like, it's like, it's addictive. And what I've realized over the last couple of years is I got to a point where things changed in my life, where maybe some of my social circles changed and, whatever, because I was started to go for different things in my life and set bigger goals and just really double down on the things that were moving the needle. And it was awesome, but I felt like kind of alone in it. And I wrestled because all of a sudden the energy that I was experiencing, I was sort of craving, but I wasn't sort of getting it in my circle. You know what I mean? And then every now and then, I would meet somebody like, oh man, you get me, like we're together in this again, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And now I totally get it. And that's why, when you and I connected, I'm like, this guy gets it. And we had a great conversation about your network and understanding, who you're spending your time with and who's in your circle and all that. And I think that's so, so important. But that comes with doing the work on the inside first, right? But let's camp on that idea of energy for a moment. When you think about, you've worked with some of the largest leaders in the world. What are common mistakes you see them making, and in ways, specifically in the context of energy, maybe ways that they waste their energy or they're not maximizing it? What are some of those common traps that we as high performers fall into?
It actually is exactly what you just started to touch on, which is actually not believing that it's possible, or not believing that you're doing the right thing. Because what I'll say, especially since, and no pun intended, that I used to work in private aviation, but arrival requires departure. You must leave, you must take off, you must leave something usually to arrive in a different place, and that's very uncomfortable. and you almost like feel your old self like pulling you back, like, don't do it. Don't grow to that level. I don't want you to go there, because what that level will unlock is definitely the next best version of yourself, which, you know, when I talk about winning, which is an important word, I feel like we need to celebrate winners more often. Winners lose the most. They take the most chances. They are putting themselves out there. And those are the kind of people that I can relate to, because at the end of your life, when you run out of time per se, right, you're going to look back and be like, did I waste time or did I maximize my time? And so if you live a fulfilled life, that is the definition of success to me. Being a yoga practitioner and like a legitimate steward of energy, and everything that I do, I've felt, seen, and witnessed some of the most powerful transformation just by the power of believing in yourself. So some people call that placebo effect, but the difference between a Hall of Fame quarterback and a just a normal quarterback in the NFL, or an F1 world champion and not an F1 world champion, is your ability to make a mistake and get over it. So handling adversity, and your ability to go from like, I messed up, to I'm back on track. That is your biggest thing. And so if you can apply that from elite athletes to, you know, a high performance dad or husband, or put your title there, you realize the faster you can get over your mistakes and move on, take ownership. So truth plus vulnerability equals power, standing in your power, then you're able to really put yourself out there, because you have the confidence to overcome anything that steps in your way. So second guessing yourself is the number one thing that will mess up any good idea.
Yeah. If you want to know how to do the wrong thing, ask everyone.
That's right.
Right? Because you're just going to get confused. You're going to doubt yourself. You're never going to do it. I love it, dude. I mean, you know, in some senses, you know, we're talking too about, there's a lot of neuroscience, you know, in this conversation. I think about the reticular activating system, RAS, you know, which I talk a lot about with my one-to-one clients, but like understanding how your brain, how it's predominantly a deletion device, how it cuts out millions and millions of bits of information in order to let you see what, I mean, you know this, see what matters most. And so, you know, it's the classic example of, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the show or not, but a classic example of this, you know, if you're listening today, is, you know, when you're researching a new car, and then all of a sudden the next day you just start seeing them everywhere. It's like, whoa, did everyone buy this BMW? It's like, did everyone overnight buy this car? No, they were always there. Your mind was just deleting that data, you know, and not allowing you to see it. But because of that, you can change what you see. When you change what you see, you change the opportunities, because now you become able to see the unseen, the previously unseen, the new opportunities, you know, all these different things. Dude, I'm with you. I love it. Arrivals. What did you say? Arrivals require departures.
That's right. And real quick on the reticular activating system and brain performance, something that I want to like put out there that might shock you is our brains were actually not designed to think. Our brains were designed to listen.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge and issue that we have in today's world is we're oversaturated with information, and we're hyper-connected, and we're distracted, and we don't know what's right and wrong. And so we're always thinking that we have to make these decisions instead of just sitting with what is, listening, and then responding. And that's why it is arguably the most important thing to build up the best version of yourself, again, energetically, because then you'll be able to listen more efficiently. And when you listen more efficiently, then you can respond more effectively.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good, man. I love so much of what you're saying, and I couldn't agree more. You know, I heard a statistic a while ago that 95% of the decisions you make today are the same that you made yesterday. Meaning that there's only 5% of the decisions that you make every single day are conscious decisions. And that's why we find ourselves, I mean, the reality is we live the vast majority of our lives on autopilot. Like you said, that's just the way the brain is designed to work. And so that's why we wake up a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, and life looks the same. So it's like, hey, if you like where you're at, then keep doing it. But if you want something different, you got to learn how to think differently. You got to question the 95%. Because if you don't, you're just going to, you know, keep staying in that rut. And I was thinking about this a while ago too, and I think I did a podcast episode on it, but it's just the idea that your brain is designed to keep you safe. Your brain is if you just listen to your brain all the time, you're going to live a pretty lame life. Like, because it's designed to be efficient, right? To make sense of the world around you. So it's like, if you want to do incredible things, you have to stop. You have to stop playing it safe. Your brain, like you said earlier, like, everything's just going to pull you back into what's comfortable, right? And even sometimes your friends and family are the ones who are also trying to get you not to do the crazy thing because they love you. And they don't want to see you take risk. And so oftentimes those are some of the things that pull us back. And the frustrating thing is it's our brain or the people we love the most, which is our friends and family. So it's really difficult to make that decision. A lot of us, and this is something else that I've been thinking a lot about, we listen to ourselves. And I think it's important to listen to yourself, but it's more important to speak to yourself, right? Speak to your mind, speak to your thoughts. Be able to take them captive, be able to recognize what's going on. So yeah, let's listen, but let's also speak. Because I think the people that get into the most trouble are people who never question what they think and why they think and the decisions they make, right? And so in such a loud environment, a loud noise, loud culture, like you said, drowning in information. And I believe we're starving in wisdom. I think your boy Tony Robbins said that one time. We're a generation that's drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. But there's so much noise. And so if we only ever listen and we never speak, it gets really difficult. So I agree with you, dude. I'm 100% all in. Can we talk a little bit about your backstory? Is that okay?
Of course. Yeah. I did want to highlight like something that I that I work with my clients is when we're working through new ideas and concepts, I say the best math that you can learn today is what is the future cost of my current decisions?
Yes.
And when you think about that, then you start to make better choices on what you're investing your time, money, resources with, and because you can see yourself. And so that's around the whole mindset of living from the future, like as if you're already in the future versus living for your future. So those are some power tools that I wanted to share before we move on to the next, before we go backwards, and that I hope you can apply.
So powerful, so powerful. Your future self, right? Speaking to your future self or allowing your future self to stretch back into time and give you advice. I mean, it's called externalizing if you're listening. And this is a powerful concept. But we so often are stuck in the right now. And I think another, because you opened that can, another powerful question might be, if 3 years from now, version of you were be able to stretch back into today and speak to you, what would he ask you to do? When you open the door and when you get home from work, what would he ask you to do? How would he ask you to love your wife? How would he ask you to love your children? Would he tell you to go to the gym or would he tell you to stay home and eat cheeseburgers? I tell you what, that version of you is going to tell you to do the right thing all the time, right? And there's a reason why we struggle with that because of something called the Solomon's paradox, which I've explained. I want to beat that to death. We've talked about that on the podcast recently, but yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. This picture of the future and where you're headed is so critical. Now, I started this off talking about Farm to Fortune. You had some early lessons growing up that shaped the way you work, that shaped the way you see discipline, that shaped the way you see success, right? Now you talked about losing a sibling and some other things that were traumatic things in your childhood that really were pivotal moments. I guess what were some of those lessons that you learned that helped you go from there to here? That maybe a guy listening today would value from who maybe is there and wants to get to where you are today.
Of course. At the end of the day, it comes down to bridging the gap of where you want to go. And so you can reframe your thought patterns and process to, like I could have lived in victim. It comes down to that, really. I'd say that's the fundamental underlier. Like, why did I have to go through a traumatic brain injury where I had, speech problems, didn't know people's names, and like went through a foggy period of my life and had to rely on pharmaceuticals just to like feel like I'm a human, right? That's not normal. And so I had to take ownership of my life and say, why did this experience happen for me, right? Mm-hmm. Not to me, for me. If you literally just start switching that word, your life will unfold in magical ways. Relationships, business, you name it. Why did this car accident, why did that happen for me, God? Because just down the road, someone might have lost their life. Maybe there's a major accident. Maybe like you needed to slow you down. So just be in the listening of why is life happening for me One thing that all of these experiences also did was really humbled me and brought me really close, a lot closer to God, I should say. And my faith deepened. And when my faith deepened, I felt like this confidence and groundedness to go to take the risk to the next level. And so, just so blessed to be in such a great relationship with God. And, my wife, like, deep in that relationship. I converted to Catholic when I was in 2020. And so just that whole journey and that process and deepening my faith and my spirituality, I feel like made me a richer man, because now I have more powerful tools, because he died on the cross for my sins. And so, like, knowing that, I just feel like it's my responsibility to make the most of my life. He already died for my sins. The last thing he wants me to do is live my life repressed because I sinned. Like, we are humans, and we're all going to sin in some capacity. And so as I'd gone through these lessons, I just learned and trained and taught myself, like, how do I turn these wounds into wisdom? And then how do I take this wisdom and then teach people and help guide people on their paths? Because we all know, like, it's not if something happens to you in life, it's when it happens to you. And so that's why and winter's coming, as Tony says. And so it's like, building the best version of yourself so you can navigate whatever comes in front of you is, like, once again, unarguably the highest return on investment or return on lifestyle you can ever invest in. And so when people are, I am an investor. I have a bunch of companies we're invested in, and I steward money as a resource, right? And I look at it as a tool. And so I'm made that transition from turning success into significance. And I was able to do that because I feel unbelievably blessed and grateful. And instead of looking at rich people like, oh, they must be nice to have a Porsche, it's like, no, like, that person probably took a risk and is, like, crushing it, and they got there because they didn't play small. There's never once been a person that's gotten some sort of level of wealth in their life without playing small. But a lot of these people that have come in, that have generated wealth in their life, miss the mark on health somewhere along the process, or they're confused, or they're battling something and they just suppress it, and then someday it happens, and someday that lesson gets introduced to them. And so if you can preemptively, build your personal armor to navigate through whatever life's going to throw at you, that can be arguably the most powerful thing. And I'm so glad you talked about the importance of talking to yourself. That might sound extremely radical or crazy if you've never done it, but, like, positive affirmations is one of the most profound things that you can do in terms of building the psychology of unbreakable energy. Mm-hmm. The mind is just so powerful when you use it and steward in the right direction.
It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers, man. Yeah. I read a book 3-4 years ago by Jim Quick called Limitless. And yes. He's if you're listening, he's chuckling and smiling. It is powerful, where he talks a lot about, it's very meta. The whole book is about learning how to learn more and faster and acquire more knowledge, and brilliant book. But he talks about how to villainize that negative self-talk. And that was such a powerful concept for me, because I learned to listen to the narrative, because, make no mistake, there's a narrative going on in your mind, whether you hear it or not. And then I learned to speak to those thoughts. I turned that narrative into a villain. He instructs you to, like, make it like a weak someone or something, some character that you can just dismiss. So I chose Beastly from the Care Bears. He's like this little scrawny little thing, and he's so annoying. I'm like, so every time I have this limiting self-thought, or I get insecure or whatever, I'm like, yeah, shut up, Beastly. So I'm speaking to myself, but hey, it is what it is. Like, it works, because then you can say, you know what, that thought is not serving me, and that thought is not from God. That thought is not from anywhere good. So I'm just going to speak to what it is and dismiss it. And it's amazing how empowering that exercise is.
So right? Powerful. Yeah. Or to, like, imagine that there's a video like recording you all the time, like, wherever you are, it's recording you, and you're watching the video of your life. Like, what would I be doing if I was being recorded and I was watching that video unfold? If it's kind of a trippy thing, because there's a lot of videos watching us these days, but it's a powerful tool, once again, to live like that. So
I love that you talked about being a victim mentality. And I think even if I think that people get triggered when we start saying the word victim, and it's usually the victims that get triggered.
Yeah.
But I mean, really though, like I say to guys all the time, I'm like, listen, you have been built to face adversity. You have been designed for it. If you're listening and you're a husband and you're a father or you're a business leader, literally, let's break this down. Physically, your body is, for the most part, larger than your wife, and your children. Your muscles are larger. You have greater bone density. You are built to handle more weight, more pressure than your family. Face more adversity. Let's think about emotionally. You have the ability to compartmentalize your emotions, which is amazing because your wife doesn't have that same ability. And that's not because she's weaker. It's just because she's designed differently, and that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. But you have the ability to put your feelings aside and make space for someone else. You can face adversity and challenges emotionally. Psychologically, you have the ability to contain thoughts, contain fears, worries, and park them. I mean, I could go forever on how the man is built for adversity. And so if you want to be more courageous, if you want to have a better life, start doing hard stuff because you were made for it. Hey, brother, let me ask you something. And I want you to really think about this. Are you winning at work, but quietly kind of losing ground at home? Maybe you're the guy people rely on. You stay calm in meetings. You carry that pressure all day, and you kind of wear that like a badge of honor. But maybe when you walk through the front door at home, your wife feels distant. Conversations feel shorter. And instead of being excited to come home, maybe work feels easier. Nothing is broken, but something is slowly drifting. And if you're telling yourself right now, I'm going to fix this when things slow down, or I'm going to fix this when things get easier, if you're honest with yourself, you already know they won't slow down. They won't get easier. Well, the high performance husband is for men who are done coasting. It's for men who want to win at home like they win at work. You see, this isn't therapy. It's not about fixing your wife. It's not for men who want quick hacks. It's for men who want to be calm under pressure, strong in their body, clear in their thinking, and to become the man that your wife and kids look up to with pride. So if you're listening to this and you know that what got you here won't get you where you want to go, I want you to go to dadnationco.com/accelerator or click the link in the show notes below, and then you can apply to join this accelerator and join myself and many other like-minded men who are leveling up in their home, in their health, and their happiness. They're winning all year long. It's a 12-month mentorship. It's going to change your life. All right, now let's jump back into the episode. My listeners would have heard me talk about the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, which is that part of the brain that grows when you do hard things. Literally, it changes its shape. And so neurologists are saying that this might be the key to developing your willpower. It's like, but people who haven't necessarily done things they don't want to do, people who haven't faced adversity, that brain structure starts to shrink. And it's pretty amazing. Like there's a lot of science behind this. This isn't just woo-woo stuff. Like it's real. So I hope if you're listening today that this is ringing home and that you got your pen out, because I know I got mine out and I've been taking a bunch of notes. So this has been powerful, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so if you're in the energetic state of like needing motivation, you need to get to the energetic state where you like want to find content like this and men that are, leading the charge, living bold, epic lives. So you don't need motivation, right? Motivation is like a low frequency energetic state. And I'll say this on the record, but it's on you to get where you want to be in life. Nobody's coming to save you. And so like, don't hope is a bad strategy. And so building, like Mitchell said, building like bulletproof armor and an unbreakable mind and being the strong, manly man of your reality and of your story, be the hero of your story. Right. And really the way that you do that is by building the best version of yourself energetically, because there is like, we respond to frequency, right? And so like, for instance, there's a thing called heart coherence. And so that's knowing that our energy introduces us before we even speak. So if we met Mitchell at a conference, like our hearts would connect 3 meters, so 6 feet around us, and we would innately know whether or not we liked each other's energy or not, and that would make us either want to talk or just walk past one another. And everyone listening knows exactly what I'm talking about, because you were designed perfectly by God. And if you, it's impossible to lie to yourself. Okay. Just think about a time in your life where you overrode those systems that you, of your body, like your gut feeling per se, where you overrode those systems and said, I'm gonna decide to do it anyway. How did that outcome turn out for you? Right.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
our system are designed to listen and then respond. And so we want to be in alignment and in tune with what's going on inside of us so that we can have more effective responses. Cause that's literally the answer to yielding better outcomes.
Love that. And it explains so much as to what we feel, but we don't have language for. Because we all know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you're giving language to it. Just a couple more questions for you, man, before we wrap up our time. But obviously, we've established you've made a great living in the energy space. You're brilliant at understanding this. But if a man was listening today who feels exhausted, who feels just tired mentally, physically, emotionally. Maybe they're like us who got 2-3 kids, just in the thick of it, right? What are the first 2 or 3 things that if you could have a personal conversation with him, that you would have him change immediately to rebuild his energy and performance?
My work in the longevity, biohacking, health, wellness space is to focus on anything that you put in you, on you, or around you. And so the first thing that I would say is, let's identify the things that are around you that are robbing you of your energy, that are literally invisibly killing you and taking you out of the amazing person, the perfect image of God that you were created to be, and robbing you of that joy of life. Because what's true is that your potential is determined by the level of uncertainty that you're willing to embrace.
Come on.
Okay. And so if you focus on that, then you have to live in that energy, or you will just play small your whole life. And so we're electromagnetic beings. This is simple science. That means that we're charged by the sun's frequency and the earth's magnetism. And so if you understand that simple level of science, then what does that tell you? You need to get outside more, and you need to touch the earth more. There's legitimate reasons on why to do so, and that's where the conversation deepens. But sunlight, the sun's frequency and the earth's magnetism is how we're charged. So if you want to charge up your batteries to become a better human, a lot more outside time. And then the last thing that I'll share is movement. Movement is medicine. Your body was made to be in motion almost all the time. We were not designed to sit around in chairs, and it's quite literally ruining our life, right? And so get moving as much as you can. That doesn't mean you have to burn out on a CrossFit workout. That means literally simply walking and putting your body into motion, because your body was designed to do that. And if you don't do that, you're just compromising your quality of life. Yeah.
That's good. That's good, man. Love that. Dude, I wish you were recording that episode with me a couple of weeks ago about energy, because we would have had a great conversation. But I'll often call them energy vampires, and and sometimes it's people, it's relational, it's digital, like your digital boundaries, career boundaries, work-life balance, and these, especially relationships. We all know those people. When you get a text from them or you get a call, you're like. They just drain you of your energy, right? And so I sort of unpacked all that to get rid of all the energy vampires in your life and the different categories, and couldn't agree more, dude. It's huge.
You say that and you probably scared a lot of people, but that's actually way more easier said than done, because right, proximity is power. So if you literally just don't even say anything and just slowly move them out of your life and give them less time, those boundaries become very natural, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so for people that, are listening, it's an important reminder is where you are right now in this moment is not who you are, right? That's so important, because we go through so many undulations and versions of ourselves. So where you are is not who you are, and what you do is not who you are. And so don't let your who you are be defined by those things, because those things will also prevent you from living your best life, which is what we're all here to do. And I'm just so grateful for people like you, Mitchell, that we get to walk on this journey. We get to be truth tellers. We get to just do the best we can, and hopefully open and unlock people's minds to the next level, so they can have those expansive thoughts and those dreams. Because as the ancient proverb says, a sick man has only one dream, and a healthy man has thousands of dreams.
I love that. I love that. This has been good, man. This has been good for my soul. This has been good for my heart, good for my mind. So selfishly, dude, I just want to say, we're not done yet, but I just want to pause here for a second and say, thank you, because this is powerful. And I've got a lot of notes and a lot of things. I needed to hear some of those words, man. I needed to hear some of those words for sure. Last question for you, dude. We talked a lot about visualization, externalizing, all those different things, but I'm a big fan of facing your mortality. And I think a lot of people think I'm a little bit morbid, is what it is. My whole turning point was at a funeral. I believe that we ought to live with the end in mind. So let me throw that at you for a moment. So, and I actually I used to ask every guest on this show this question, but I kind of got away from it. But I feel like you're the right guy for it. So I want you to picture for a moment, unfortunately you passed away, and your funeral's over, the memorial service is over, and your wife and your two beautiful children are sitting around the table. Maybe they're a little bit older, and everyone has gone home, and they are just sitting around the table, and they're reflecting on Dad and the man that he was and the life that he lived. And you could have like this out-of-body experience or be a fly on the wall. What are 2 or 3 things that you would want them to say about the man that you were while you were here on earth?
I would love for them to say that I was the hero of the family, like their hero, someone that they could look up to, and that like really, like I want them to know how much I would want them to talk in terms of like pointing towards my bravery and courage to go into uncertainty on every level of my life, and to always be passionately curious about, thinking about different ways to solve complicated problems. And I'd also love for them to be saying that I was a generous man, because I believe that the secret to living is definitely giving. Anytime that I give, whether it's whatever resource that looks like, I always feel fulfilled. Like the fulfillment for me comes when I'm giving and giving back and serving. And so it's really important for me to practice those things. And I think like if my kids my family said those things about me, I would be flapping my wings pretty fast in heaven. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, you can use your shovel and dig and give people things, but God has always got a bigger shovel. He's always going to give you back more than what you give, and so it's the power and generosity is absolutely massive. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. And on that note, I want you to take a moment to tell us all about what you're doing and how we can support you, or if there's anyone listening who want to work with you or grow in relationship with you, whatever the situation is, dude, just let them hear it. I want them to know exactly where they can go to learn more about you or work with you.
Of course. So my business, Happy Life Labs, is really designed to help people optimize their energy. And when I say that, I mean anything that you put in you, on you, or around you. And so we have the world's best tools that we bring into people's lives and help them equip them to go into uncertainty with more power, energy, resilience. And I'm talking specifically your physical health, because I believe that physicality leads to mindfulness. So when you, like, once again, when you put your body into motion, then the way that you think and all the way you think changes. And so that level of psychology requires only the best tools in the world. And so something that I love to offer, and a place that I like to start is, we do what's called space optimization audit. So we'll come in and we'll optimize the space that you spend the most time in. So that's usually your bedroom, your office, a room in your house. And we come in, and it's either virtual or in person, depending on where you live and what your budget is. And then we take a real life audit of what are the invisible killers that are around you. So that's water, air, fragrances, what kind of detergents are you using. I mean, the list goes, it's a very elaborate list. And we bring awareness to those things, not in a shameful way, but in a way that really empowers you to make decisions that'll support you and your family or your company and your colleagues' health. Because, as we discussed throughout the course of this whole podcast, if you're dealing with a health issue, chances are the business is definitely coming second. And so if we can focus on getting your energy in a place that's abundant and rich and full of life, then usually the business kind of takes care of itself and even goes up. So I just want to be a resource to anybody listening to your network, Mitchell. And if you want to bring in tools, the best tools in the world when it comes to health and wellness, we have them. That's what we do. We've reviewed over 3,000 companies. We only have 100 in our portfolio for a reason, because we take integrity really importantly, and we want to make sure that we're in alignment with representing only the best in the world. So that's a little bit about me. Other than that, I'm a very social person. I love speaking. I love being on shows like this. So if it's whether it's a team or a keynote or a podcast, I love getting the word out there about energy in a modern way with ancestral wisdom.
Yeah, I love that. And just for the record, I couldn't agree more, dude. I mean, me and my wife have gone on a journey of 10 years, man. We're constantly thinking about I love your approach on you, around you, in you. Somebody called me. There was like a Gen Z called me crunchy the other day. I'm like, what are you talking about? Crunchy. I'm an old crotchety man at this point. I'm like, well, you don't have like processed foods, and you don't wear normal deodorant, and you don't wear hair products. I'm like, oh, so you mean I'm taking care of my body? Is that what makes me crunchy?
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Then I'm the crunchiest man in the world if that's the case, and I'll happily wear that badge.
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm an energy therapist, because I come in and I'm the person that would tell you and your wife, like, you got to ditch that scent unless you don't care about your endocrine system, which controls your wife's hormones, which, as you know, if that's something that you have to manage and deal with, then like you're going to get rid of the scent. And so I'm not kind of like I'll just shoot you straight kind of guy. I'm not here to make things up so you buy products. Usually what I end up doing is taking things out of people's lives, quiet the noise, get people recalibrated, recentered. And like you said, just like, oh, you mean like I'm human? Like back in the day, not one person ever wore deodorant. You know what I'm saying? Not one person ever wore polyester clothes,
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know what you're putting in you, on you, or around you. If you want to become the best version of yourself, it matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to normalize it for any of you listening, there was a season in my life where I went through a diagnosis of having low testosterone, and we don't have time to talk about it today, but I went on this huge journey, and it changed everything. And it had a massive effect, not just on my health in the sense of like muscles and how I felt or whatever, but like hormonally it shifted. I mean, you talk about fertility, you talk about your vitality, you talk about, I mean, literally, you want to perform on a higher level. I mean, this stuff is the real deal. This is the stuff that moves the needle. So, Brett, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. I just want to honor you. I just want to say I love what you're doing, and I think it's powerful work. It's necessary. And God knows there's a lot of noise in a lot of different ways. And so we could all use more energy, more clarity. And so I appreciate the work that you're doing. And I'm glad that you had the opportunity to be here on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Mitchell.
Thank you for tuning into the Dad Nation podcast today. Listen, if today's conversation challenged you, if it encouraged you or helped you level up in any area of your life, would you do me a favor? Take 60 seconds to rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us reach more men who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Dad Nation YouTube channel, where you're going to find full episodes, clips, and exclusive content designed to help you win at home just like you do at work. Remember, your family does not need perfection. They need your presence. Your leadership matters. So keep showing up, keep leveling up, and never forget, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. We'll see you next time.